Chapter 3, Stockpiling Supplies, Part 2. Glancing at the time, which was a little past 3 in the afternoon, Jiang Ran realized she still had over 600,000 yuan left in her bank account. Although she had initially planned to visit an outdoor supplies store, her phone suddenly rang. The snacks she had ordered in the morning were ready, and the shop owners were prepared to deliver them. As a result, Jiang Ran hailed a taxi and headed to the shop she had rented earlier that day. Opening the rolling shutter door, she patiently awaited the delivery. Before long, an electric tricycle sped over from the street corner, carrying packs of cold noodles and jelly noodles neatly arranged in takeout boxes in its cargo area. The shop owners had thoughtfully packed the sauces separately in small containers, making it easy to mix them in when ready to eat. Following that, the crayfish, barbecue, and other snacks Jiang Ran had ordered were also delivered, some still warm. Standing by the door, Jiang Ran watched as the owners and employees of the different shops brought the takeout into the store, organizing them neatly. Despite their curiosity about why someone would buy so much and store it in such a simple shop, they refrained from asking further questions. If someone had money to spare and was willing to spend it, they saw no reason to pry. As long as the money found its way into their pockets, they were content. After tallying up the goods, Jiang Ran settled the remaining payments, and everyone left. Due to the sweltering heat, there was not a soul on the streets outside the shop. Since the location was remote and there were no surveillance cameras, Jiang Ran stored the items in her spatial storage, arranging them systematically. Unbeknownst to her, the evening had arrived, and she was sweating from exhaustion. The final delivery was a bowl of shaved ice. The owner had generously added plenty of toppings, and he even suggested that she could contact him directly by phone in the future. Jiang Ran cheerfully agreed. After bidding farewell to the owner, Jiang Ran sat on the steps outside the shop to catch her breath. The size of her spatial storage was equivalent to a 200 square meter room. She needed to store essential supplies efficiently and avoid wasting space. Feeling the space filling up, Jiang Ran felt particularly content. With all these supplies, she wouldn't have to worry about going hungry during the apocalypse. She could focus on cultivation and explore the world when she had ample time. Jiang Ran was, in fact, a very curious person. Despite the dangers of the apocalypse, it was also incredibly fascinating. Why not go out and see the world if she had the strength? However, that was something for much later. Currently, she couldn't even defeat an average young adult, let alone explore the world. Sigh. If only she could have been reborn a little earlier. She could focus on cultivation while stockpiling supplies. The evening breeze brought a trace of coolness, and Jiang Ran looked at the empty street outside, suddenly feeling very satisfied. While others were still unaware of everything, she had already stockpiled a large number of supplies and could focus on cultivation, a future filled with hope. Suddenly, Jiang Ran felt something bump into her leg. Looking down, she saw a colorful little ball. A boy around 4 or 5 years old ran over, picked up the small ball by Jiang Ran's feet, and timidly said, "Sorry, sister." "It's okay." Jiang Ran rubbed his head. "Aren't you hot outside on a day like this?" Sensing Jiang Ran's friendliness, the little boy sat down beside her, hugging the small ball in his arms. He looked at the empty street and explained, "It's stuffy indoors, and it's not too hot now. Mom said I can come out to play." The little boy then asked, "Sister, why aren't you going home?" "I'll go home soon." After a brief silence, the little boy spoke again, "Sister, my grandma said the weather is strange. She's never seen such a hot spring before." "Right." Jiang Ran nodded. "I've never seen it either. Maybe it will get even hotter, and the world will turn into a giant steamer. A giant steamer. The little boy looked at Jiang Ran with innocent curiosity. Will we be steamed like buns? Jiang Ran chuckled. Maybe, on such hot days, food won't last long either. There might even be a famine. The little boy didn't fully understand the severity of what Jiang Ran said, and confusion filled his big round eyes. At this moment, a call came from a distance. Daodu, it's too hot. It's time to go home. Oh, coming. Responding, the little boy bid Jiang Ran a polite goodbye and ran towards the woman who was smiling gently in the distance. Afterward, Jiang Ran stood up, closed the shop door, and took a taxi home. Back at home, Jiang Ran took a refreshing hot bath. Suddenly, her stomach rumbled, and she realized she had been so busy stockpiling supplies that she forgot to eat. Sitting down in the living room, she turned on the TV and retrieved a warm bowl of jelly noodles from her storage. She poured the sauce on top and stirred it, and the fragrance of spicy oil wafted in the air. Jiang Ran couldn't wait. She picked up a pair of chopsticks and tasted the dish eagerly. Delicious. In the 3 years since the apocalypse began, she had almost forgotten what normal food tasted like. She finished 2 bowls in a row and still felt unsatisfied. She then took out some garlic-flavored crayfish and savored them slowly. On the TV, the news was reporting on the day's events. Due to the scorching heat, there were power shortages in many places, and water levels in rivers and lakes across the country had dropped significantly. Large areas of cultivated land had cracked open, making it impossible to farm. Experts predicted that there would be a widespread reduction in grain production this year. To make matters worse, similar situations were occurring in many other countries around the world. Online, people were complaining about the weather and society. They vented their frustrations, but there wasn't much useful information. After turning off her phone's screen, Jiang Ran sat down on the soft carpet, recollecting the cultivation method in her mind. She started cultivating, and the familiar feeling quickly returned. In her perception, the vital energy of heaven and earth appeared as numerous small dots of light, wandering aimlessly in the air. As she cultivated, these dots of light began to gather towards Jiang Ran. Following the instructions from the book, she guided these dots of light into her body. They converged within her meridians, flowed through every cell in her body, and were then absorbed, stored, and transformed by the cells. During this process, Jiang Ran could vaguely sense that the cells absorbing the dots of light seemed to undergo some sort of change, and her body felt comfortably warm. Slowly, Jiang Ran became immersed in this peculiar cultivation process.